when you ask someone where you go to school or where you went to school, you know, maybe out on the West Coast or on the East Coast, you ask an adult that and they say, oh, I went to Syracuse or oh, I went to USC. Well, in New Orleans, we typically say, where'd you go to high school? But what's interesting is this school has this unique ability to bring back alum all the way until they're 70 years old. And we see it time and time again, how influential leaders in the city were trained here.
We have a good product here. We always said if we could bottle this, what we have at Christian Brothers, we would make millions.
And that was the real frustration that we had, is we feel like what the brothers and the administration here at Christian Brothers New Orleans have been doing has been extremely successful. And then to devise a plan to come back and try to change what we were doing when we were doing it better than everybody else, it seemed, it was very frustrating.
The Archdiocese did not appreciate, and maybe today still does not appreciate, the gem that it has in the uniqueness of the middle level education for boys in grades 5 through 7 in City Park.
So I took his order as an affront to us. I thought he was just coming after us because we were good. You know, we had a business model that made it more difficult for other schools to be sustainable, and he didn't like that.
You know, it was all over the newspapers. We had alums up in arms. We had parents not knowing what was going to happen. Emergency board meetings, emergency meetings with the pastors from other churches, public hearings. This was a big deal, and for a period of about 2 years, I want to say it was all we talked about. We initially started going through the scenario of what would we have to do to this campus to conform to the grade structure. And it was an impossibility.
We are in the middle of a park, and there are ponds that are on our campus. We are tenants in the park. In addition, inside of the building, there are staircases where the slats are far enough apart that the little ones couldn't even go up and down the stairs without the danger of them perhaps falling through the slats. And the landlord, City Park, was not going to allow us to make any sort of renovations to the historic building in which we reside to make it safe for young children to be in this building.
And frankly, if you did a poll of at least the lay people, I think there was enough aggravation where most people would have said, let's just pull out, we don't need to be Catholic anymore. But Brother David and Brother Tim and then ultimately Brother Donald just gave us this kind of feeling like, look, we're a part of the church and we have to stay down this path of evaluating all of our options, and their faith was pretty incredible.
The only way we could make this work is if the Archdiocese met us halfway and allowed us to maintain the excellence that has been created for over 60 years on the City Park campus. So in effect, leave that part alone and allow us to expand on a second campus. So that began our search. Where would our second campus be? When the process began, much like De La Salle has said, I would have never predicted the outcome. I want to say there were 150 students in the school the year before we moved in.
In fact, I was teaching third grade at the time, and I believe I had the largest class, which was 13 students. Whereas when we transitioned into Christian Brothers, we had 2 full sections of everything. I believe we interviewed twice the number of kids than we accepted. Before, I find that even though I was in a Catholic school, I was very challenged with the community that I was working with. But then this teacher came in and he had never met them. And within the first class that he taught them in PE, he had special handshakes with half of them. He had nicknames for all of them. And it was just this beautiful moment of, I am doing this all wrong.
There's this thing that happens where I just look into their eyes and I can tell that there's love there, that somebody loves them, and that they bring something to us that nobody else can bring.
I think it spoke to me because that's kind of what I've always wanted to do with my students when I originally started teaching. And I felt like the Lasallian charism really helped you to put it into context, put it into words, and have something to aspire to. And it definitely carries through the school, and it happened instantly. Like the first day that we opened the doors, it was just a completely different experience than anything I'd ever taught in.
I think what's occurred with me personally is I started out really believing in the Christian Brothers way, the Christian Brothers New Orleans way. And we were a 3-grade, all-boys middle school in City Park with 360 kids. And over that time on the board, we converted from that to an 850-ish co-ed, full grammar school, 2 campuses, and along the way, I was able to meet all of the leaders from all these other schools around the country and recognize how much bigger we are than just this Christian Brothers New Orleans entity. And frankly, I just believe in what they're doing. The word mission, a lot of times when you're not in the religious world, can be sort of mysterious. And to me, what it means is carrying on for the long term the way of St. John Baptist also.
And Brother Tim said to me, as angry as we are, and I knew he was as well, we need to be reminded that the ultimate goal has to be goodness, a relationship with the archdiocesan leadership, a fidelity to the mission. And once you submit yourself to that, there's a greater sense of purpose. There's a permission to release the anger, and if anything, a deeper level of commitment to the mission and to your vocation.
Every board should go through that because it was a very bonding experience where everyone came together, everyone's pulling the wagon, and it just made you feel good, and to give back and to try to help and to be relevant. It's just, you felt like you were part of their mission, which we are, but you felt it. So that was extremely gratifying to everybody who helped.